Folks, welcome to the Jake Feinberg Show. And as I have continued to traverse the musical landscape of our culture and the world, it's very important to talk to people who came up learning and playing America's original art form known as jazz. And get a chance today to speak to an organist and a sound seeker who played with all the masters of the music back when everybody was autodidacts, or they learned through listening and hearing the music first before they actually saw anything. TV wasn't even relevant, so you had all this individual sound, as did my guest. He came up when there was a brotherhood and a record-based industry, commerce-based record industry. And he's living out his golden years in Australia, still hoping to cook the groove at some point if we ever pass the pandemic. Mickey Tucker, welcome to the Jake Feinberg Show.
Thanks for having me, Jake. My pleasure.
Mick, I wanted you to talk about the first time you met Rahsaan Roland Kirk.
I'm not so sure. I'm not sure when I first met him.
Maybe your first vivid memory of that man.
Well, I do remember the record date I did with him, Blackness, because on that date nobody told me that I wasn't going to be playing the piano on the day. I got to the studio, and Rahsaan, I went to the piano. He said, "No, I didn't hire you to play the piano. You're playing the B3."
Wow. So you had to think. So what? Just talk to younger cats about being like sort of being a deer in the headlights, but saying, "No, I just got to burn." How'd you do that?
Well, you listen. When you're faced with a situation, you just have to deal with it as best you can. Quite frankly, I think it came out pretty well.
Yeah.
My mom's wasn't too pleased with it because I've forgotten what that hymn was that we recorded. But anyway, she wasn't a big fan of jazzing up. No.
So she didn't like. It was more of a hymn that spoke to like something that was. It was just not. She was too square to get to. She wasn't that hip. I mean, she's just a square, beautiful square cat.
My mom's was the exact opposite of hip.
Right. It's like me, dude. Yeah, I dig. Now, is it fair to say that you crossed paths with Dizzy or Jimmy Heath in North Carolina?
No. I have a picture hanging on my wall.
Yeah.
That was taken outside the Hotel Brufani in Perugia, Italy. It's just Diz and myself.
Oh my God, Diz, man.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite photos, man. And I remember exactly what we were talking about. We were talking about one of his tunes called Con Alma. I don't know.
Absolutely, yeah, sure. I mean, I don't know. I know it if I hear it, but it's he recorded it a bunch.
Oh, tell me about it, man. Yeah. But anyway, it was concerning the turn back on in one of the chord progressions in Con Alma, and I finally got Dizzy to set me straight. It's the progression itself. It's nothing complicated. It's just that the resolution of that chord progression is like a half step away from what it would ordinarily be.
Right.
In other words,
sure. No, I did. I mean, that's yeah.
Yeah, it's going to the very first chord going into the tune is an E major chord. Well, the turnaround you would expect to be an F sharp minor to a B7, then resolving into an E. But it's not an F sharp minor. It's a half step away. It's an F minor 7 to a B flat 7, then to an E major, which is half step away from what the ordinary resolution
Yes,
would be.
I did. But that,
And
I
that's
mean,
what
dude,
we-
you fell right in with the cats, man, like Moody. So here's the question. You know, basically, tell me about, you know, guys like Alphonse Mouzon in South Carolina. You know, he took a couple chicken sandwiches and took a bus to New York. I mean, how did you get to New York, and did you wind up at Slugs? How did you get into the scene?
Well, I had come from Mississippi.
Wow.
I had been teaching school at which is now known as Mississippi Valley State.
That's where Jerry Rice went to school.
I was just getting ready
Jerry,
to say,
dude, the man, dude, yeah.
You knew that Jerry Rice went to school, but Jerry Rice came along a long time after I was.
Sure. No, I can't even imagine how indigenous. What can you just talk about the kinds of experiential learning you were able to? Basically, did you just play for the students? We just lost Barry Harris, and rest in peace. He was like talking about how he plays for his students so that they can feel it and they can get it. Like, were you able to? Because there was no tablature, there wasn't really the academy. What were you? Were you basically teaching them like on the bandstand?
I guess in a matter of speaking, you could say that because I did play for my students. I didn't, present a concert for them. My main job was getting them to understand, because I was teaching harmony and piano, or theory and piano. And sometimes the best way to explain something is to just actually sit down and play it for them.
That's right. That's what he was saying. That's Barry was saying. Exactly.
Yeah, the analytical part of it here. I mean, you can take anything and just analyze the living crap out of it for days and days. But that my method was to actually play whatever it was that I was trying to get across.
Well, I mean, hold on for a second here. Did they even have because, I mean, Howard University took a long time for them to even allow jazz. Whoever went there, Diana Ross, the soul singers, they weren't studying Andrew White. They weren't studying jazz. They were studying classical music. Donald Byrd came there, started the program. That was in 1973. So were you even,
Yep.
Was it a historically black college? They never liked jazz.
Well, I went to Morehouse College, which
Wow.
may or may not. It was Martin Luther King's alma mater.
Absolutely.
As a matter of fact, my commencement address speaker was Martin Luther King Jr.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
But now I studied with a lady who was teaching at Spelman College, which is right across the street from Morehouse. Morehouse is all male, Spelman all female. But I didn't study any. I mean, Joyce wouldn't be able to improvise her way out of a paper bag. So all of my studies with her were classical. They were classical. And my senior recital, I didn't find out until months afterwards that my faculty advisor, who was Dr. Wendell Whalum, had told me that the program that he and Joyce had me do for my senior recital was not actually for a bachelor's degree. It was a master's program.
Wow.
And I think I did pretty good. I remember one of the pieces that I played was Robert Schumann G minor sonata, and the one minor little slip up in there. I mean, if you didn't know it, if you didn't play it.
Yeah, but I mean, dude, when you hit a clam, that's what makes a tune, right? I mean, that to me,
right.
you know?
Well,
yeah, man. I mean, I want to ask you. So with Rahsaan, were there lead sheets or chord charts, or was there actual written music? I mean, he was blind, so I mean, was it more about him expressing it through just showing you what he wanted?
Uh,
The groove he wanted, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I had some leads. I had some cheat sheets
Yes.
with just the chord changes to what we were playing. I know he didn't write it down. I only know God only knows who made it. But it's not complicated. This is just writing the chord symbols down, and that's about it. But I'm trying. You really got me thinking now because
I know, dude. You're still tripping out about the first time you met him. It's unbelievable, Tucker.
Yeah.
I mean, you're unbelievable, man. But no, I mean, like,
Well,
yeah.
I guess you could say my very first so-called professional gig.
Yeah.
Was accompanying a singer. I don't know if you ever heard of her or not, but she was a great singer, Demita Joe.
Yeah, I've seen her records. I've never really gotten into her. I've never gotten hip to her.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that was my very first bite of the big time Apple and stuff, and we traveled like 40 going north, man. We were all over the place.
You were road dogging it for the whole year, babe.
Yeah.
You played like 250 shows a year.
But
wow.
my first real gig, so-called jazz gig, was with James Moody.
Yes.
And
Moody's mood, man. I mean, that dude is okay. So how did that transpire? How did that happen?
Well, God only knows, man. I don't even know where Demita Joe got my name from.
Really? I mean, were you just like minding your own business and keeping your head down, or were you just a bumpkin?
Well, I was just bumpkining her around.
Oh man, dude, that's cool, man. I mean, most people, if more people followed the muse, we'd be better, you know.
Whatever gig I could get, but with Moody, now here we go again.
Yep.
With Moody, there was only one time that I did a gig with Moody where I played the piano. It was B3. It was only three of us in that band: James Moody, Eddie Gladden, and myself.
Oh my God! So I want you to tell that story again about Blakey. Please tell that story again.
Oh, yeah, he wasn't happy with the pianist that they had at the time. They were working in Detroit, and Bill Hardman threw my name in the hat, so to speak, and they sent me a plane ticket, and I flew to Detroit, and I started that gig that night, not ever having rehearsed, not knowing any of the stuff that they were playing. They were playing mostly Humphrey's music. Oh, what's the name? I forgot.
Walter Bishop.
No, not Bishop. Walter. They were playing mostly Walter Davis's music and some of Benny Golson's music.
Wow. What kind of? I mean, how would you describe that music at that time? I mean, to me, it was like the fusion era of modern music, but jazz was still like it was waning in popularity. But what kind of music? Like, were you like a sound seeker? Were you always searching for like a sonic expansion on the bandstand that everybody was seeking?
Well, yeah, that's what the music is about. That's what jazz is about. You're constantly searching for new and better ways to do stuff, and that's just the nature of the music. It's very, very adventurous. And the thing I liked about Art is that he encouraged the guys to, like, if you play some choruses on your solo and stuff, and you think you've played all you can play on it, he'd say, get to the end of it, he'd say, take another one, just to get you to, try to reach for a higher rung on the ladder.
That's what I'm talking about. That is exactly the example I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like, so it's like, stretch, like, it's not about, like, stretch out, like, and then go for it. And, you know, if you fall, just get up and keep going. But, like, you can play bar after
That's right.
as many bars as you want, baby.
That's right. He never put any limit on how many courses.
I love it, dude.
He was always encouraging you to take another one. Because, if there's something that you miss on your last solo, well, why not give it another shot? Next time you might get it.
That's right.
And if you don't, after that, what you do is find yourself a room with a piano, and that's where your practicing come in. Okay, I'm trying to accomplish this, that, or whatever it is that didn't work out for you before, and you work on it. It's like anything else, man. The more you do it, the better you get. It's called practice.
Right, but then, you know, it's for a lot of cats, especially younger, they can't leave the scales in the bedroom when they get on the bandstand. You have to just forget all that stuff. And the music is coming from the head and not from the primordial gut anymore. And and that's the bottom line. I mean, listen, I'm 43 years old, but I can feel. Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, man, I know that when I was born, you and Eric Kloss were cooking the groove. Like, that warms my heart, because I talked to that guy it was the first cat I talked to 20 years ago. It was such a spiritual conversation. And I just recognized the brotherhood and the humanity of it. And then somehow it all came back around to where I'm just on this eternal search. And it's related to you guys, but it was practice, but it was like you were unafraid to make a mistake. You know, you had to learn to get over your fears, and you know. And I don't know if that happens as much today, because there's not a touring circuit, and there's not a mentorship or that kind of thing that used to exist, which you know about.
Yeah, well, nobody wants to make mistakes, but we all do. The thing is to straighten them out.
Right.
Now I started by telling you how I got into Art Blakey's band. Now, with the Jazz Tet, Benny Golson's band, Curtis Fuller was the one who suggested me to go, because Benny Golson didn't know who I was.
Wow.
So, but Curtis was in the band, and he did, and he said, "Hey, give this guy a call," and it just turned out to be one of those situations. You know, you can have good musicians, you can have 5, 6 great musicians, but rarely do you get that combination that just clicks. You know, just the right guys that just happen to click. And that's what happened with that band.
Well, that's what I wanted. Ultimately, you mentioned Baker's Keyboard Lounge, but I will ask you about how you connected with Roy Brooks.
You're really testing my memory, man, which is not the greatest thing.
Well, no, you know what it is? Like, no, it's fine. It's okay. Like, dude, don't stress about it. The guy played with a saw blade. Like, you guys were like expanding. Your music must have been sonically like going to the cosmos live.
Well, I don't know about all that, but anyway, Brooks had a band called the Artistic Truth. He had a charter for that band. We got a grant to do all of the prisons in well, not all of them, but 90% of them, the prisons in New York.
Wow.
With that band. And yeah, we did a little touring, and but most of the gigs that we had when I was working with Brooks were those prison gigs.
And was he playing with a saw blade in the prisons?
No, he didn't use the saw on those gigs.
He was. Can you talk a little bit, Mickey, about one of the L's on my show is lineage, and it's just talk a little bit about ultimately who your heroes were, and then after you begged, borrowed, and stealed, how you this is the most important. How did you find your own individual voice?
Well, listen, man. First of all, it would be impossible to me to say who my favorites were because there were so many.
Right.
There was so
I know.
I have my own favorites that I liked.
Well, that's who I'm interested in.
Yeah, well, I really started off listening to a guy named Hampton Hawes.
Yeah, he's my favorite piano player.
Well, welcome to the club.
Yeah, man. No, High in the Sky, man. Him, Leroy Vinegar, and Donald Duck Bailey. Absolutely expansive album, dude. Never. That thing is like the most. I haven't listened to that in a long time. On fire, man.
Yeah, I tell you who else he freaked out. Oscar Peterson.
Man.
Oscar Peterson loved Hampton Hawes.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Dude, Hamp. I don't know, man. So that, yeah. So I mean, you got into him when he was.
Pardon?
Were you into the bebop records he was doing with Vinegar and those cats out there on the West Coast?
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I had some old Hampton Hawes records, man, that I played them so much because I was trying to
learn it.
Copy his solos.
Yeah.
And I actually wore the records out playing them over and over again.
That is so great, man.
Yeah, when you asked me the question about, getting your individualness, that's now a word. Come on.
Individuality.
Something, yeah, it's something that you can really get yourself hung up. You can hang yourself with searching for a quote sound unquote. I never got hung up on that too tough. I just wanted to play the right notes and have it swing. Let me put it this way.
Well, no, I mean, you were a sideman. You were a sideman for. Go ahead.
If you just be yourself,
right,
you will be different because there are people alike.
That's a Yogi Berra line right there.
Yeah. So there comes a time that after you've listened to this one and that one and all of them and try to steal whatever you can to mold into your own.
Yep.
You eventually outgrow that, and your real self will come through. It's just all that other stuff, indulging in other people's playing, is just like the lessons. Those are the lessons that you teach yourself, so to speak. But after a while, and after years, all of that sort of peels away, and you do sound like yourself.
Right.
It's just one of those things that evolves.
I would just say, as it relates to like you and Duke Jordan, Hampton Hawes, everybody had their own individual sound, and
that's what the music.
No, but what I'm saying is, when I listen to modern, contemporary, quote unquote jazz, I hear a homogenization of sound. I can't tell who anybody is. I mean, dude, every single drummer from Roy Brooks to to Mickey Roker. I mean, everybody had their own groove, man. And, and so modern contemporary jazz, it all sounds synthetic and it sounds the same.
Yes. My wife is sitting here. She said, yes.
But and they've just, they've dumbed it down. To me, it's like the record. I mean, I really found this record today, and it was just the catalyst for reaching out to you. This piano on this keyboard quartet that you put together with Roland. It's like that was. I just listened to side one, and you said, you were quoted on the back saying, the only way to determine the success of this record will be time. How does it stand up over time? And
right.
It's about longevity, and I got to tell you, it sounds freaking awesome. It just sounds great. Like, and George Peters was like a West Coast Blue Note promoter. I don't know how this thing even came together. I would love you to tell me that, because this is, you got the concept of you and just playing with Roland is just awesome.
Oh, well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, man. Yeah. But here's how it came about. Originally, that was supposed to be John Hicks and myself.
I knew Hicks. Oh my God, I love the man, dude. Jesus. Man.
Okay, and I had just bugged the living crap out of to produce his name, George
Butler.
Oh, Butler, right?
Yeah, Butler. Yeah.
We homies too, because he's from Charlotte.
Wait, is he still with us? Is he still with us?
No, he's dead.
Dude, that man was a badass, dude.
Yeah, he's dead because he produced a lot of stuff with my friend Branford Marcellus.
Really? Oh, okay. That's later. Interesting.
Yeah. There's a recording that Branford did with London Philharmonic that George produced.
Wow.
Among some other things, yeah. But anyway, some stuff happened that John Hicks was stranded there in St. Louis, I believe it was, and he couldn't do it. So I got rolling. It was like last an 11th hour thing, man. And I was lucky to get him, and that's how that one came about.
Wow. So, I mean, Roland just being did he get the music the day of the gig, or how did that work?
Oh no, I wouldn't do that to him, man. I made sure that he had the music and plenty of time to. How
tell me a little bit about, like, that was, how did you, was that your first, talk a little bit about that record, like, as a leader, though. To me, like, you basically, I wanted to go back to Demita Jo for a second, and that was just the idea that, like, was she playing a formula trip set, like kind of a formulaic thing where there was you weren't like leaving the head of the tune and going out with her, or were you?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand that. I wasn't doing what?
Like, like where you some people play a very safe formulaic set, no real opportunity to improv. They play their tunes. It's very straight. And I just wonder, in that Demita Jo gig that you had, that original gig where you played 250 shows a year, were there songs in the sets that lent themselves to you being able to stretch out and playing as many bars as you wanted?
Well, no. It was I was hired to accompany Demita Jo. So there was little to no room of stretching out, so to speak. I would play like fills in some of the tunes that I could get away with. They were bebop-ish, but for the most part, my accompanying her was pretty much the same thing, night after night.
Wow. So explain to people that want to be professional musicians, how can you stay stimulated and inspired when you're playing the same thing? To me, the motto is the Mickey Tucker, John Hicks model is that you never play the same song the same way once. You know, it's different every time. And so how...
Yes.
I know you're gonna. It's about being a professional. It was your first professional gig. You weren't going to complain about it. But as an artist, how do you stay inspired when you play a formula trip every night?
Well, the money.
Absolutely, the money, dude.
It meant that I didn't have to worry about paying.
I dig.
Supporting my family at the time, but yeah, it does limit you in what you can and cannot do, because you are there to support the singer. You're not. I mean, you're not the star of the show. You're part of the band backing her up, and that's your job. If it happens to be, where the repertoire is a bit confining, then so be it. You just have to deal with the situation.
Exactly.
She was happy with the way I accompanied her, so I stayed as long as I could, and then I had to move on from me.
Well, no, that leads into my. You talked about kind of being a bumpkin, and kind of just sort of following the muse, and sort of falling into grace. And how did you learn? Did improvisation just flow through you? Where did you really get comfortable stretching?
Oh, I guess I would have been maybe about 12, 13 years old. Grady Tate had just gotten out of the Air Force.
Holy shit.
And we had a trio. It was a bass player named Marion Thorpe.
Oh my God, dude. And Grady and you?
And me.
Oh, this is the greatest story I've ever heard in my life, dude.
I was at the very beginning of learning how to step outside of comfort zone, and how to improvise, and how to follow a set of chord changes and all that. So those are my formative years playing this music.
What were you were playing sock hops, or like what kind of, was it what kind of gigs were you playing? Society gigs?
We were playing whatever kind of gigs we could get.
You're playing barbecues, family barbecues,
Yeah, there was a little joint in Durham called the New Birdland, and we play that, and you get private parties, and just whatever comes along, man. If it's a gig, you take it.
I do, but I mean.
My wife just threw in and said, tell them how your dad had to use. Well, my pops used to have to go with me on gigs a lot because I was underage, and if there's serving place where they're serving liquor, of course, I wasn't supposed to be there.
Right. Right.
So my pops he would go with me to a lot of gigs, just to,
Well, I mean, the Lenny White's dad did that. I mean, that's not on. I mean, that, and the next day you went to school and he went to work, and that was just the deal.
Yeah.
That was just the deal, Lenny told me that story, and it's sort of, I mean, it's it is remarkable. I mean, Jimmy Heath was a dear friend. I mean, he was my man. Rest in peace. And I wonder at that point, was Durham segregated still?
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, because Jimmy said that in high school in North Carolina, people of color finished 11th grade. Everybody else went to 12th grade. And like that was stunning to me, you know?
I don't know about that because as far as I know, it was always 12th grade.
Well, would you say it's okay. Would you say you guys are peers?
Who, Jimmy and I?
Yeah, are you a little bit younger?
Oh, I was younger. I was younger than everybody I played with. On the Heath Brothers, you know.
Yeah.
I did a tour with the Heath Brothers, and that was because of Tootie. Because Tootie was there. He was the original drummer with the Jazz Tech when I first joined them. And the Heath Brothers had this tour coming up. The Heath Brothers tour went to Denver. We went to Chicago. We went a bunch of places.
Wait, you saying with Tootie? With Tootie?
Yeah, Tootie.
Oh my God, so awesome.
Playing bass, and Jimmy was playing tenor.
And you on piano, and you on piano.
Yeah, and I learned on that gig to never ever take a gig with a bunch of family members because these guys, I'm telling you, man, they're all great musicians.
Right.
They fought like cats and dogs from day one to the end of that goddamn
That's
tour.
incredible. That's incredible, man.
And here I am. I'm not a brother to any of them. But yet and still, here I am caught in the middle of all this crossfire with these guys threatening to kill each other. And I'm saying, what the
Why were they so... Well, yeah, I mean, that is... we're human animals, man. We barely... It's insane.
Tell me about it. Tell me about it.
Let me read this to you. This is from my first interview with Jimmy. He said, Percy was a mechanical guy, very smart. He was the president of clubs in high school. That's how he became a Tuskegee Airman with a high school education. This is what he said, we finished in 11th grade, while the white high schools finished in 12th. North Carolina law, brother, said that the black school was going to the 11th grade and the white school down the street 2 blocks away was 12th grade. 11th grade, blacks, get out of here. You ain't going to learn any algebra and math. What are you going to be, a cook? So that was his experience, you know. And, you know, it is, I just wonder about, to me, that, you know, Albert Eiler and Archie Shepp, to me, Rasan, there was an expression of your people in that music. It was a black subculture through the 70s. Like, and it was, and so I just wonder how much, how connected, we're so disconnected. I only ask because we're so disparate today. We're so disconnected today. We're sort of in our own silos. And I just wonder how much you can appreciate the connectivity, the nightly ability to play 4 or 5 sets, burning music, enlightenment, solitude, grace, and most importantly, being able to sing for your supper. I mean, it speaks to the roots. The roots were deep. I don't know where the roots are today.
Yeah. Well, I feel that I was very blessed to be able to do this for a living. And I was also very lucky to be able to play with some of the greatest musicians ever. Just happened to be in the right place at the right time, sort of thing. Jake, you know what I mean? When these gigs came up, I was there and available. I took them, and for the most part, they worked out very well. So I feel like I was very lucky. I'm very blessed. And I just can't imagine myself doing anything else.
Did you...
Hello?
Yeah, no, I wanted to ask you about, like, when you got to New York, did you enter radio registry, or did you make a full-time living as on the bandstand?
Well, when I first...
Like, was Tucker doing suds and were you doing suds and duds commercials and soundtracks to offset the, or were you doing enough work as a jazzer to make a living?
Well, no. In the very beginning, I was working at Job Corps. They had a thing called Job Corps,
right?
That Richard Nixon had organized for kids who dropped out of high school, to sort of guide them along, teach them some skills or whatever. So I was working for Job Corps at that time, and just picking up little gigs. Some of them I wish I'd never been on. Because that was before I was bumping into some of the really greats. And some of the guys I played with, I was not very happy about their musicianship. However, but I did have that Job Corps gig that I was doing, in addition to picking up little gigs here and there until the Meet the Joe thing came along.
Absolutely. What is in your mind, Mickey, playing with somebody who you can't get off on their musicianship? What separates the great ones like Moody and Diz from a competent, good musician? But what separates the greats from because you played on both sides, but I mean, you played with a lot of masters.
Yeah, Jake, I think it all boils down to the passion that you have for the music. You got to really be in love with this music to make anything out of it. I mean, when I say make anything out of it, to be able to pay your rent and to eat. It's a hell of a sacrifice, and it's a hell of a lot of work. People don't understand how much time, well, for me anyway, some people learn faster than others, but no matter who it is, you're still going to have to put in some hard hours at practicing your craft. Or if not, you'll just be a booger.
Right, but I don't think people understand what practicing is. Practicing is playing stuff you've never played before. When I would hear Mickey Tucker practice, it would be a very beautiful thing because you're playing what you don't know, and that's what's yeah. And I wonder about, but I do want to go back to something. Did you ever do suds and duds or studio jingles? Were you part of Radio Registry?
Actually, no.
Wow.
No.
Wow. And you were totally living in New York, dude.
Pardon?
You were in the city during the 70s, or am I wrong about that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was. I wasn't Radio Registry, but I'll tell you what I was a member of, and Melba Liston was the one who got me into.
Bless her, man. Bless her.
Yes, BMI.
Wow.
Performance Organization. Well, I mean, if you're gonna make any money out of this, and you're you are a composer, or more specifically, publisher, you have to belong to either ASCAP or BMI. I think there's another one in the States now, performance rights, or else you're going to miss out on some serious money.
Did you learn the hard way in order to be, like, who hipped you to getting your publishing? I know like guys like Gil Scott-Heron, Brian Jackson, they they were always encouraged by the older guys, get your publishing, who mentored you?
Oh, yeah.
Who mentored you in that process?
Yeah, it was Melba Liston. She was the one who sent me to BMI with a name. The lady who interviewed me, the name was Sylvia Manuel. And she explained to me right then. She said, "Listen, BMI is not going to help you in any way unless your music is recorded and played on the radio." And she was right. That's what it's about. When radio stations play your music, and this is who they pay, not the artist, not the composer, it's the publisher.
Right.
Publisher is the guy. The publisher is the one who gets the money. But anyway, when they play your music on the radio, that's a performance. And all radio stations have to log what they play so that they can
Absolutely. No, so I'm curious though, what was the first tune you published that got significant airplay?
Oh God, I don't know, man, because I've written quite a
right. I'm just saying, like early on, like.
But I don't really know what the very first one would have been. It would have.
Was it a Xanadu? Was it a Xanadu album?
Yeah, it was a Xanadu.
It was a Don Schlitten, dude.
Don Schlitten.
Don Schlitten, Mickey Tucker for life, and Eddie Gladden, man. Like, dude, you guys healed me in college, dude. Your music, it's unbelievable.
Well, I'm so much you enjoyed it, man. That's what it's about, man. You do this music in the hope.
No, but I mean, like, do you remember some time in your career where you were driving somewhere or you heard any of your songs come on the radio? But that to me is a really beautiful. It's too. We're fully interconnected now. Where before you had Ed Beach. He had all these different programs and, bleed through radio stations and even jazz stations, that played Xanadu records. That is a beautiful thing, and it's sorely lacking and missing today.
Yeah. Oh, thank God for the small jazz labels, man, because without guys like that, some of this music would just vanish into thin air.
How did you meet Schlitten?
Through James Moody, because Schlitten at that time was working with Joe Fields, who was Muse Records.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then he and Joe Fields split up, and he started his Xanadu. But that's where I met him, was through Moody. We recorded an album with Moody. And
what album was that?
Schlitten was there.
These two would have been the first.
It's called Never Again. That album
with Moody?
Called Never. Yeah.
Wow, that is beautiful. The there's an album you recorded live with Roy Brooks too. Is that true?
Yes.
Yeah, my wife is telling me yes. So she keeps track of all this stuff, man.
No, I was looking it up before because I was like, yeah, live at Town Hall.
Oh, right, live at Town Hall. Yeah, you're absolutely correct.
And
it certainly was.
You know, Sonny Fortune was on that. So please tell me a good Eddie Jefferson story.
Well, I'm going to tell you this. I don't know how I can make it sound acceptable. Anyway.
Just no, it's fine, dude. Just fire out.
Okay. We were in Ohio. I think we were going to Cincinnati, I believe. But anyway, we're talking about 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
When we got pulled over, because Moody was driving he had bought a new Cadillac.
yeah, I dig.
Oh man, Moody was a funny guy. He used to park outside of Newark Airport on the runway, and he would race the planes.
Oh my God, dude!
But anyway,
Mickey Tucker, making my day, dude. You're making my day. That is so insane, dude. You would be shot and killed for that today.
Oh, tell me about it.
Wow, man. Mickey, man. You know, bless you. I'm glad you guys lived. Yeah. Go ahead.
We got pulled over in Ohio at this ungodly hour by a state trooper who was quite obviously gay. Really and truly gay.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
In the front seat, there was Moody, who was driving, and Eddie Jefferson.
Oh, boy.
In the back seat was myself and Eddie Gladden, separated by some of his drum kit inside the car. The rest of it was in the trunk of the car. Anyway, it woke Eddie Jefferson up, and Eddie Jefferson picked up on... Well, right away he was. I mean, this is really gay guy.
Yeah, very, very feminine. Very, yeah.
And Eddie Jefferson started snickering, and Moody told him, he said, "Man, shut your mouth. Your breath smell like boat smoke."
Oh my God.
His breath smelled like boat smoke.
Dude, James Moody, man. Oh my God. That is fantastic. I mean, to me, like, you were playing with... is it important? Can you just talk about the developing relationships with people that you respect and how much that can increase the spiritual quality of the music?
Well, yeah, man. It's
like with Eddie Gladden. I mean, like, you guys you know, is there any recordings of you and Eddie just duo?
No.
Wow. But did you used to jam, like, just make up free improvisation with, like, vibes and keyboard, drums kind of stuff?
Yes and no. Not to any great degree. And the only duo thing I ever did was a demo, which again was organized by George Butler, of
oh my God,
myself and a drummer named Pat Sherrod, who we worked together with Little Anthony and the Imperials.
Oh, that's classic. Yeah.
And George did just a demo with just the two of us. I was playing the B3, and of course Pat was playing drums.
Tell me you have a copy of that.
Pardon?
Do you have
I don't.
It was never pressed on record. It was just a demo.
Yeah, it was just a demo. I tell you, who does have a copy is Pat Sherrod's son.
No, it's not. It was damaged by water.
Oh, my wife just told me no. He doesn't have it now.
So were you kicking pedals or playing bass with your feet, or were you just left-hand bass on that?
All of the above.
So tell me a little bit about you as it relates to how you learned. A lot is a big misnomer out there that, most people don't kick pedals. Most people play left-hand bass, as you know. But I want to, especially, did you learn to kick pedals in organ duos? How do you use the foot pedals? Because, Doggett did it. Wild Bill Davis did it. Jimmy Smith took it to a certain level where, but you were probably trying to emulate those cats in some way.
Yeah, I very seldom used the pedals just for walking, because that pedal keyboard on Hammond B3 is a very gaudy sound.
Yes.
Whereas if you're using the manual and walking it with your left hand, that is closer to a bass sound than those foot pedals are. And I think that's why a lot of guys do it. But I had my faculty advisor, Wendell Whalum, was a classical organist.
Wow.
And
wow.
Yeah. So even though I knew the techniques of playing the foot pedals, it's just that the sound on the Hammond B3 from foot pedals is a very gaudy, it's an ugly sound, man. And that's why most guys just walk it with their left hand. Now, I'll tell you what I did do that most B3 players did not do is walk with my left hand, play those same notes at the same time with the foot pedal, but instead of using those foot pedal notes to sustain, I would just punch the same notes that I was sustaining while walking.
Yeah, you just like feather them. Yeah, you feather them.
Yeah, and that gave it more of a, like when you pluck a bass fiddle. Well, that was the effect.
Yeah, more resonance. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but that sort of percussive kick to executing the note.
Absolutely.
If you just touch that pedal and sustain that same note with your left hand, you got even more of a bass sound. And I think that would probably be the difference between my B3 playing and most other B3 players. And as far as Jimmy Smith, God bless his soul, because he was the greatest one of all time. But Jimmy Smith used to sell this line of bullshit that he was playing all of the bass with his feet. Well, that's crap.
Right.
Because he wasn't.
Absolutely. No, it's funny. People have, people say that he didn't play much bass with his feet at all, but I mean, I've heard both sides. So, I mean, either way, he was a master.
Yeah. Listen, as long as it sounds good, man, who gives a shit anyway?
Well, but yeah. Well, and you know what? Like, it's become like a facility-based sort of chops-driven kind of thing, but and that's not what it's about. It's about, feel and soul, and I just wonder, like, in this time, like, we've lost a lot of cats. Chick Corea, Pat Martino, Paul Jackson, the list goes on and on and on. So many.
Oh, yeah.
It's, and I just, what keeps you going in your life today, concretely, like what are the things that how you want to continue to bring positive change to the world? Because, if somebody took the microphone away from me for, 3 years, I probably wouldn't be in a very good place psychically, and I wonder how many gigs you would play and what gives you, what keeps you going?
Well, listen, I'm not doing gigs, concerts, touring any of that anymore because I had a terrible accident that resulted in some pretty serious spinal surgery.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
And it left me with a condition known as reflex sympathetic dystrophy. So my right leg is pretty much shot. And how that affects me is that I can't do any pedaling with and the right leg is the one that controls the
sure
the sustaining pedal on the piano. So I'm just not physically able to. My life right now revolves around therapy. I go twice a week to hydrotherapy. I have physio. Well, I got 2 physiotherapists actually, and I have to, just so I can have some modicum of mobility, I have to adhere rigidly to these various exercises and therapies.
So, but I mean, there's a motivation for you to continue. You can see that you're improving, and there's motivation in that.
Well, I don't know that I'm improving, but let me put it this way: I'm not going backwards.
That's right.
Which is a good.
Yeah, no. So that's the key right now.
Yeah.
I mean, that's heavy, man. I send you some healing prayers, man.
Yeah, well, thanks for that, man. Yeah, but I've got health issues that just won't allow me to do it anymore, man.
I guess maybe that's the point. Is how have you dealt with that? Do you say, well, I got everything out of my system, or do you truly miss it?
Of course I miss it. Of course I miss it. I've got a couple of things. I don't know how you came across my name, whether it was through Triple AMC or whatever. But anyway, Indiana University has cataloged all of my works, compositions, recordings, interviews, you name it. But in any case, the head honcho is trying to help me get a piece performed, which I got a grant from the National Endowment back in the 70s to do a composition for saxophone quartet and orchestra.
Wow.
When I say orchestra, I mean full symphonic instrumentation. And he's trying to help me pull that off. He's presented the score to the conductor of the orchestra there, and he's up for doing it. And it's like all things. It takes money.
You composed this back in the 70s.
Yeah, and it hasn't been performed yet.
So can you talk about the person who how did that come into your view, as from an employment standpoint?
From a what standpoint?
It's a nice gig. You get a national endowment from the National Endowment from the Arts. So
that's right. They don't even give grants to individuals anymore. I don't know what year they stopped doing it, but when they were doing it, yes, I was lucky enough to get one. And the composition itself, most of the thematic material in it is from Negro spirituals.
Wow.
And the title is called Spiritual Collage. But yeah, so I'm sort of keeping my fingers crossed, and I'm hoping that, because to tell you the truth about it, Jake, I never expected to hear this in my lifetime. So it seems that it might be possible that I will.
Absolutely. I'm going to do everything in my power, including I'm going to transcribe that story and put it up on Facebook. At this point, it's like I want people to be aware of it. To me, like, how did you prep? I mean, how much were you turning to, like, historical records to listen to different types of field calls or chanting or spirituals, hymns? Like, how did you prepare? How did you, or did you just write from what you heard in your head?
Well, not so much. Like I'm saying, the thematic material is all from various Negro spirituals. So I can't take credit for the thematic material.
Right.
It's just that I orchestrated it and made a different animal out of it. I don't know how when and if it does get performed, I have no idea how it will be received.
Who cares? Who cares, man? Artists to be shared, not judged.
I do. I care. You don't want people to hate your music.
I think that's a little too strong. I mean, artists to be shared, not judged. At this point, it should be shared with the world. You're not going to please, man, you're not going to please everybody, you're not going to, like, and if it inspires one person 50 years from now, then you did your job, but it would be cool to, what was the most free music setting you ever played in? Was there a loft scene that you went to at all, or what kind of experimental music did Mickey Tucker play? I feel like you and Gladden were trying to take things into the cosmos a little bit, but I don't know. Which was your most free time?
Oh, I guess the most out to lunch music. And I can't even remember this guy's name.
I'm going to help you out, dude.
It's somebody who you wouldn't know because he never did any recording. He's not a...
Oh, okay.
But anyway, he had organized this so-called orchestra that would make Sun Ra sound like it was in. Yeah, that was pretty out to lunch, man.
Whoa, dude.
There was no nothing. You just went to your instrument and just made some fucking noise. Excuse my language.
It's fine. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, so there was no, but I mean, even as a musician, I don't know, it's been kind of revelatory to me because a lot of people just think that a lot of the musicians from your generation, actually didn't have a lot of respect for Albert Ayler and Archie Shepp. They were squeaking and squawking. They couldn't keep a gig. They couldn't play changes. There was no tradition in their music. And so, like, as a trained musician who respects all that stuff, don't you bring a little bit more to the table when you're playing free? Are you listening to anybody at all? Like, that to me is fascinating. Like, you at least had the foundation there.
Listen, when I was doing that, no, I wasn't thinking about nothing because you didn't have to think. All you do is put your hands on the keyboard, and whatever happens, happens.
Right.
And I don't know if you're aware of it or not, but I did tour with Archie Shepp.
Are you kidding me?
No, we toured Japan together. Yeah,
twice.
and, yeah.
Was Charlie Neville in the band?
It reminded me twice, and that was the only other out to lunch sort of band. But even at that, man, Shep. Now he surprised everybody. I've got a recording here. That when
people say he got a lot better. Yeah.
Most people think it's they think it's somebody who is very in, because he's on this recording. You wouldn't know it was Archie Shep.
Right. No, he grew a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he did, man.
Did you? There was a horn section. Yeah, that must have been.
No.
With Archie, what kind of band was, like, who was in the band?
Let me see. I was in the band. But Buster Williams.
Oh, my man, dude.
Buster Williams and Horace C. Arnold.
I love that dude. That dude's a genius, man.
Yeah.
It's so matter of fact, man. Like, do you have any? So you just answered that question about, it's kind of a dream to get that piece, the orchestration, out into the world. Do you have any more things musically that you do you want to play music again?
Well, it's sort of out of the question now. I'm just not physically able to do it. So, I mean, of course I would like to, man, but I'm not going to drive myself. I said drive myself nuts. I'm already nuts. But no, I cannot let that take over my life, man. My not being able to do what I used to do. Yeah, I miss it, and it would be great. But I'm not going to jump off a high bridge because I can't.
Absolutely. No. I mean, it would be. Did you play the Tin Palace a lot?
Oh yeah.
Like, yeah, can you talk about like a week in the life of Mickey Tucker in like '77? I mean, to me, like, I would have been following you around. Like, you would have been my idol. How many gigs a week were you playing live each week? Like, you playing 5 nights a week, 6 nights?
All depends on what week it was. Some weeks you don't play any gigs. Sometimes there's a flood. Sometimes there's a famine.
That's right.
It's the nature of the beast, man.
No, I mean, when it comes in waves. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're very fortunate when you get a good gig that pays good money, because it doesn't happen every day.
Before I just wanted to ask you about.
I'm sorry.
No, I just wanted to ask you about your concept of love, how you bring love to the world.
Well, through my music, if I can. That's the only way I can really communicate with anybody. I mean, I can hold a conversation with you, but that would be my answer. Would be through my music.
And you've definitely accomplished that over many, many decades, Mickey. And what an honor, man! It's been great to hang, man. I'll get this up. I'll send you a copy of it so you guys can have it for your archives.
Oh, I thank you so much for that, Jake, and it's been a pleasure talking with you, man.
Dude, we went for 75 minutes, dude. It was good.
Yeah. Oh, and Sheila just put something in front of me. Yeah. Another thing with Archie Shep is called Tray of Silver.
I still got to get through this keyboard ensemble with Roland Hanna, man. This is the best thing I've heard in a while. I can't believe he just stepped in on that. Richard Davis Everybody sounds so good on that.
Oh, well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, man. The record company said it was a sleeper.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. I mean,
I don't know if it's ever come awake yet. But, listen, granted, it's not to everybody's taste. I'll grant you that. But I think there's a lot of good music on that album.
I'm looking forward to diving in a little bit deeper. But, man, thanks for sharing the stories, man. You guys be safe. Much love to you both, and we'll be in touch. And, is Eddie Gladden still with us, by the way?
Oh, no. Gladden died many years ago, man.
Oh, man.
It's been over 10 years ago. Yeah, I don't remember what year it was. Yeah, no, Ed Gladden's been out of here.
Yeah, Tucker, be cool, man. Much love, man.
All right, the same to you, Jake. Thanks so much.
Be cool.
All right.
Later.
Do the same.
Yeah, I'll get it up later tonight, all right?
Okay, good enough. Thanks, man.
Be cool.
Take care.